Hello students, welcome back to online class. Today we are going to learn about geography lesson 4, Hydrosphere. Already we have learned lithosphere 1 and 2 and atmosphere. This is the fourth lesson, Hydrosphere. Okay, you all know already what you meant by this hydrosphere. Hydro means what? Water, isn't it? So in this lesson, we are going to study about the importance of water and about the water. This water also two types, fresh water and the salt water. Okay, so what are the objectives of this hydrosphere means? Importance of water, to know about the nature, use and distributors of fresh waters and salt water, and the relief features of ocean floor and movement of ocean water, resource and need for conservation. First one, introduction about this hydrosphere. We all know that where we are living. Where we are living, students, we are living on the earth, isn't it? So this earth consists of four spheres. Do you know what are the four spheres of the earth? They are the lithosphere, atmosphere, hydrosphere and biosphere. So already I have taught about this. What do you mean by lithosphere? What do you mean by atmosphere? Isn't it? So now we can study about this hydrosphere. Okay. So what do you mean by hydrosphere? One of the hydrosphere means, hydro means water, isn't it? Sphere means it is round in shape. Already I have taught that. One of the most indispensable natural resources on our earth is water. So which is very important for a human being. That is the water. So the earth is also called the blue planet. Okay. So the earth is, what is the another name for earth? The earth is also called as blue planet. Why it is considered as blue planet? That means it holds water in abundance and thus stand unique among all other planets. So hydrosphere consists of water in various forms found on the earth. How much percentage of water is means 97% of water is present in this earth. Okay, on the earth's surface is confined to ocean. Less than 3% of water is held on land. Okay, please listen. This earth is also called as blue planet, and in the earth the hydrosphere, how much percentage of water is on the earth? That is 97%. And how much percentage of land? Only 3%. Okay. Land as glaciers, ice caps, so groundwater, rivers, lakes, and also as the water vapor in air. So from this picture, what you can understand, there is the hydrological cycle. Okay, hydrological cycle. What do you mean by this hydrological cycle or water cycle? What is another name for this hydrological cycle? That is the water cycle. How it is come means, from the sea or lake or pond, the water will evaporate and it will be condensate and precipitation will occur. Like that, the cycle will go on. The earth's water is not static. It is always in motion. We all know on the earth, there are different ways of waterways are there, isn't it? That sometimes pond, lake, sea, like that. So whether all the places the water is stable, no, it is not a static one. It will change often. It is always in motion. This continuous movement of water on above and below the earth's surface is called the hydrological cycle. So there is one question also. What do you mean by hydrological cycle? The continuous movement of water on above and below the earth's surface is called the hydrological cycle. Next, the three major processes involved in the water cycle are evaporation, condensation and precipitation. So what are the three important processes involved in the water cycle? They are the evaporation, condensation and precipitation. So water changes its form constantly, that is ice, water and water vapor. This process happens in the blink of an eye or even over millions of years. Okay, students. So there is one question also. What do you mean by hydrological cycle? There is the continuous movement of water on, above and below the Earth's surface is called the hydrological cycle. So we all know that Earth's water is not a static one. It is always in movement. So what do you mean by hydrological cycle? It is the continuous movement of water. Okay. So what are the three major processes involved in the water cycle is evaporation, condensation and precipitation. Okay. Water resources of of the earth can be broadly divided into two types of water. What are the two types? Fresh water and salt water. Okay. Now, first one, fresh water. What do you mean by this fresh water? Mostly, rainwater is considered as the fresh water. Okay. Why it is considered as fresh water means it contains less proportion of salt compared to ocean water. So, hence it is called as fresh water. So, which was considered as fresh water? Rainwater. Why it is considered as fresh water? Because of less proportion of salt. Okay. A major part of fresh water is found in the frozen state in the form of ice caps and glaciers. Around how much percentage? Only 1% of it found in the liquid state as rivers, stream, lake, pond, etc. Surface water may also penetrate through porous rocks and get collected beneath the earth's surface. This is called groundwater. So, what is called groundwater? The surface water also penetrate through porous rocks and get collected beneath the earth's surface. So, this is called groundwater. Okay. So, there is one fact. What is that? Finland is known as the land of 1,000 lakes. Sometimes they may ask one word question also, which is considered as land of 1,000 lakes. That is the Finland. So, how much lakes in Finland means 1,87,888 lakhs in Finland. Next, water table. What do you mean by water table and what do you mean by aquifer? Water table is a level below the ground where water is found collected beneath the earth's surface. Aquifer. Aquifers are porous rock strata filled with water found below the earth's surface. Next one, oceans. What do you know about this ocean? The continent and oceans are, however, not evenly distributed in the northern and the southern hemisphere. So, we all know that two hemispheres are there, North Hemisphere and South Hemisphere. In these two hemispheres, it is surrounded by this sea water, isn't it? So, whether this water is distributed equally or whether it is same, no. So, the continent and oceans are not evenly distributed in the northern and southern hemisphere. So, the northern hemisphere holds 61% of land, whereas the southern hemisphere holds 81% of land, water. So, listen carefully. Northern hemisphere holds how many percentage of land? There is one question also. Explain about the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. So, the northern hemisphere hold how much percentage of land? 61% of land, and southern hemisphere hold 81% of water. Why it has occurs, do you know? It is because of this pattern of land and water distribution. The northern hemisphere is called as the land hemisphere and the southern hemisphere is called as the water hemisphere. Listen students, once again, Roman number 5, question number 1, there is one question. Roman number 5, Roman number 5, question number 1, give reasons for the following. The northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere are called land and water hemisphere respectively. So, there is one important question also. Give reason why this northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere are called land and water hemisphere respectively. Okay, so this answer is the northern hemisphere holds 61% of land, whereas the southern hemisphere holds 81% of water. So, north hemisphere land and south it is water. So, it is because of this pattern of land and water, the northern hemisphere is called as the land hemisphere and the southern hemisphere is called as the water hemisphere. Okay. Next one. there is one question, hot. 71%, we all know, 71% of Earth is covered by water. But very little can be used by human. Why? Because the oceans are salty. So oceans and seas are considered as resource bowl of the earth because of the immense availability of food, minerals, etc. present distributed of the world. Ocean and major seas are illustrated in the map. So we all know oceans and seas are considered as the resource bowl of the earth. So which was considered as the resource bowl of the earth? Oceans and the sea. Why it is considered as the resource bowl of the sea? Do you know? Because of the immense availability of food, minerals, etc. Present distribution of world, ocean and major sea are illustrated in the map. Okay. Sylvia Earle is a famous American oceanographer. She was named as the first hero for the planet. So, who was named as the hero for the planet? Sylvia Earle. So, by the Time magazine for their effort towards marine life protection. Next one, Jacques S. Cousteau, 1910 to 1997, was a famous French ocean explorer who conducted extensive undersea investigation. He belonged to the information service of the French Navy and was sent on missions to Shanghai and Japan in 1935 to 1938 and in the USSR 1939. So cross of war, when this cross of war was happened means 1939 to 1945. US President Medal for Freedom 1985. Next, so already I learned about this hydrosphere, hydrological cycle, freshwater and ocean. Okay, so give reason also. One question I learned. Why northern hemisphere is considered as the land and southern hemisphere is considered as water? We all know how much percentage was hold in the northern hemisphere? Only 61%, and the southern hemisphere 81% of water. So northern hemisphere was considered as the land and southern hemisphere is called as the water hemisphere. Next heading is the relief of the ocean floor. Next one, relief of the ocean floor. There is one question also. What are the relief of this ocean floor? Roman number 4, question number 3 also. Mention the various relief features of ocean floor. Mention the various relief features of ocean floor. See, the ocean basins are characterized by the following major relief features. What are they? Continental shelf, continental slope, continental rise, deep sea plain or axial plain, oceanic deep, oceanic ridge. Okay, once again I am saying relief of the ocean floor. Mention the various relief features of ocean floor. What are the various relief features of ocean floor? Say there are 6 relief features of ocean floor. They are continental shelf, continental slope, continental rise, deep sea plain or axial plain, oceanic deep or oceanic ridge. First one, continental shelf. What do you mean by this continental shelf? Okay, continental shelf means what? A shallow and gently sloping platform extending out from the adjoining continental landmass into the sea is called continental shelf. Okay, there is one detailed question also here about these relief features of write a paragraph on the origin of ocean. So we want to write all these explanation also. Continental shelf, continental slope, continental rise, deep sea plain or axial plain, oceanic deep and oceanic ridge. So first one, continental shelf. Please listen carefully. What do you mean by this continental shelf? It is a shallow and gently sloping platform. What do you mean by continental shelf? It is the shallow and gently sloping platform extending out from the adjoining continental landmass into the sea is called continental shelf. It is almost a uniform zone or seabed with a gentle gradation. So, we know this continental shelf is the great significance for the following reasons. Okay, here from this picture also you can understand hyposmetric curve. This curve is from the x-axis it is given the percentage of Earth's surface, y-axis it is the elevation, that is in kilometer. Okay, hypsometric curve is a graphic representation which shows the height of a certain place found on land and the height of ocean features at sea. Hypso meaning height in Greek. Okay, so hypsometric curve is a graphic representation which shows the height of a certain place found on land and the height of ocean features at sea. Between the land and the sea, showing the height is called the hypsometric curve. Here, next also one important question. Continental shelf provide good fishing ground. Why continental shelf contain good fishing ground? This is a very important question. The continental shelf is of great significance for the following reason. Okay, Roman number 5, question number 2. This is on the first point, isn't it? So the continental shelf is of a great significance, very, very important for the following. Why it is important? So it is important for the fishing ground. Okay, mostly in that place only we are getting more fish. So this continental, they are shallower. This enables sunlight to penetrate through the water. So this encourages abundant growth of grass, sea, weeds and plankton. So hence this zone become the richest fishing ground in the world. Example, the Grand Bank of Newfoundland. Okay, next one is the continental slope. It is a steep slope which descends from the edge of the continental shelf to the deep ocean bed is called continental slope. So what is called continental slope? It is a steep slope which descends from the edge of the continental shelf to the deep ocean bed is called continental slope. It forms a boundary between the continental crust and the oceanic crust. Okay, this zone is free from deposit as they are steep. The most important characteristics of continental slope is the presence of deep canyons and trenches. Due to the low penetration of sunlight, the slope has nearly freezing temperature. Hence, aquatic life has very slow rate of metabolism. Next one is the continental rise. At the base of the continental slope is a gently sloping layer of sediment which merged into the deep sea floor. This underwater feature found between continental slope and abyssal plain is called the continental rise. It consists of submarine fans which are similar to the alluvial fans found on land. So, what do you mean by this continental slope? Continental slope is a steep slope which descends from the edge of the continental shelf to the deep ocean bed. It is called continental slope. So, what are the important characteristics of this continental slope? Is the presence of deep canyons and trenches. Okay. So, next one, continental rise. What do you mean by this continental rise? It is the continental rise, the underwater features found between continental slope and abyssal plain is called the continental rise. So, it consists of submarine fans which are similar to the alluvial fans found on the land. So, in this type of land, what was means submarine fans. Okay, which are similar to the alluvial fan. So, it is very rich in this portion. Next one is the deep sea plains or abyssal plains. Okay, deep sea plains or abyssal plains are underwater plains found on the deep ocean floor. Where you can see this deep sea plains or abyssal plain in the deep ocean floor. These plains extend from continental rise to the mid-oceanic ridges. The gradient of the slope is very gentle and it appears as a uniform, flat and featureless plain. These plains are usually covered by the thick layers of sediment composed of clay, slit and sand brought by the rivers. These are often characterized by features like abyssal hill, seamount, gourds, coral, atoll, etc. Okay. Deep sea plains. There is one important question also. Roman number 6, question number 2. What is, Roman number 6, question number 2, distinguish between abyssal plain and ocean deep. So please listen, distinguish between abyssal plain and ocean deep. So abyssal plain, what is another name for abyssal plain? Deep sea plain. Okay, so deep sea plains or abyssal plains are underwater plains found on the deep ocean floor. Where you can see this one in the deep ocean. These plains extend from continental rise to the mid-oceanic ridges. So the gradient of the slope is very gentle and it appears as a uniform, flat and featureless plain. These plains are usually covered by the thick layer of sediment composed of clay, slit and sand brought by the rivers. So mostly in this plain, what you can see means clay, slit and sand. These are often characterized by features like abyssal hill, sea mount, guyards, coral, alert, etc. So, where you can see this abyssal plain means in the Atlantic Ocean and in the Indian Ocean. So, be extensive than the Pacific Ocean because majority of the world's largest river empty the sediment into either Atlantic or Indian Ocean. Okay, for example, Amazon, Ganga and Brahmaputra river. These places only we can see more sediment, abyssal plain in the Atlantic and Indian Ocean tend to be extensive than the Pacific Ocean because majority of the world's largest rivers will at last where it will be end means it will end in this Atlantic Ocean and in the Indian Ocean. Next one is the oceanic deeps. What do you mean by oceanic deeps? Trenches are the deepest part of the oceans and occupy about 7% of total relief of the ocean floor. What do you mean by this? Oceanic deep. Oceanic deep means it is the deepest part of the ocean. Here, trenches are the deepest part of the ocean and occupy how much percentage of total relief of the ocean floor means only 7%. So this ocean temperature in the trench is slightly cooler than the freezing temperature. So you all know if you go under the deep ocean, it will be very cool than on the surface, isn't it? As they are sediment free, most trenches are V-shaped with steep side. Epicenter of the great earthquakes are all found in the trenches. Okay. So you already have learned about this epicenter, isn't it? What do you mean by this epicenter? The center of the earthquake is called as the epicenter. So in this place only epicenter of the great earthquake are also found in these trenches. Next one is the dragon hole. It's the deepest known underwater sinkhole in the world. So what this the local fishermen call it the eye of the South China Sea. So here you can see this means in China, isn't it? It is considered as the dragon hole. So in local language, they will say it is the eye of the South China Sea. So dragon hole is the deepest known underwater sinkhole in the world. It will be like a hole. Next one is the oceanic ridge. What do you mean by this oceanic ridge? Oceanic ridge is a continuous submarine mountain chain. They are made of young basalt rock formed when two tectonic plates move apart. How this oceanic ridge is formed means oceanic ridge is a continuous submarine mountain chain. They are made of young basalt rock formed when two tectonic plates move apart. So the mid-oceanic ridge is probably the most extensive single feature of the Earth's topography. Two of the most well-known mid-oceanic ridge are the Mid-Atlantic Ridge and the East Pacific Ridge. The Mid-Atlantic Ridge is the largest unbroken oceanic ridge. So which is the largest unbroken oceanic ridge? That is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Here, do you know they have, we can see that fathoms, isobath and isohaline. What do you mean by this fathoms? Fathoms means a nautical measurement of the depth of water in the ocean. Isobath, what do you mean by isobath? It is an imaginary line on the map joining the points of equal depth. And isohale, it is also an imaginary line on the map joining the point of equal salinity in oceans. Okay students, thank you students. So So remaining in the next class we can learn. So from this you can frame one word question and learn. Okay, thank you.